Hello everybody and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thank you for joining me today and welcome if you are new. Today we're talking all about one of my favourite topics, and that is sisterhood. So let's get started. So if you follow me at all on Instagram or social media, you'll know that sisterhood is a topic I regularly hashtag or talk about, or I regularly try and support or promote my sisters and my friends in their work. However, something I have noticed is that people who are the trailblazers or the leaders within the spiritual community and are perhaps published authors or have online courses, face-to-face courses or memberships, for example, are regularly talking about sisterhood and how amazing it is, but aren't actually practicing it. And I've had a couple of encounters with people who claim they're all about sisterhood, and in fact they've been anything but sisterly towards me or towards people I know. And I think this is a real shame, and I feel like there should be a universal understanding of what sisterhood is and how we can connect with each other and actually be a sisterhood, as opposed to this disconnected problem that seems to be quite strong within women. And I know that obviously there's the witch wound, I know there's the sister wound. They definitely need healing, of course, but I do feel as though if you're going to talk about sisterhood, if you're going to promote that with your work, definitely make sure that you are actually practicing it. So what is sisterhood? Well, hopefully you all feel like sisterhood is connecting with other women and supporting them and encouraging them. But I feel as though it obviously goes a lot deeper than that. In ancient societies, women would have come together at the new moon and bled together in tents or in circles and would have shared stories and ideas and given each other advice. And of course we've lost that because we don't live in those type of communal societies anymore. So I very much believe that sisterhood is about unconditional love, support, compassion, empathy and encouragement towards all other women, not just to your friends or to people who you like, but to all women. There should not be any kind of hierarchy in sisterhood. It shouldn't be, oh well, she's my friend and she promoted me in my work once, so I'll promote her back, but anybody else, oh yeah, good luck with life. No, it should be blanket rule for everybody, because I'm a Libran, so justice and equality and fairness are really important to me, and I feel as though as women, we should be all uniting on this and recognizing and coming together as sisters and helping support one another's work, whether it's a small business, a big business, or it's some kind of private, personal endeavor or development that you're going through. We should be able to support each other and encourage each other, because that's when you need your sisters the most. That's when you need to be held in this divine sisterly community, is when you're going through a difficult time or when you're trying to create success and celebrate your work and your life. So let's just talk about what is a barrier to sisterhood. I've mentioned the witch wound, and that is very much believed to be back in the 12th, 13th, 14th century, when the witch trials were going on. Women who were in covens or in friendship groups together had to tell on one another to the authorities. So perhaps you're part of a friendship circle, whether you were practicing any kind of herbal medicine or magic or spells or not, and perhaps the men in the village said to all their wives, tell me who you think is a witch. And of course the pious wife would have said to the husband, oh, I don't really know any witches, and he would have said, of course you do. And so she would have just had to have picked somebody, and that could well have been a friend of hers or an acquaintance of hers, whether they were close or not. And that happened quite regularly. So there's that huge wound there, which of course requires a lot of forgiveness and a lot of compassion and understanding. And the other wound is the sister or mother wound. This could be because you have a disconnect with your mother or an aunt or a sister within your life, and perhaps therefore you have a disconnect from the divine feminine and find it difficult to connect with and empathize with other women, whether that be people in your family or people you meet in everyday life. So that could be a barrier to you connecting to the sisterhood and the divine feminine. And then of course it is very likely that many of you who are watching this have experienced some kind of betrayal or being let down by a sister or a friend. And when I use the term sister, I am talking about sister as in all women are my sisters. All women are your sisters if you're a female watching this, or if you align with being a female watching this. And even if you aren't a female and you're watching this, or even if you're non-binary and you're watching this, then of course you can still connect to other women or to the aspect of the feminine within you. Because of course we are all made up of a balance of the masculine and the feminine. And in case you're thinking, I'm not sure about that, we are in a 3D world at the moment, and therefore there will be polar opposites. So we do have the feminine and the masculine within us both, and that's only because of the 3D play that we're in at the moment. If we were in 5D or 6D and above, then it may well be that we were leaning more towards an androgynous route, because there's less of a polarity in those dimensions. So just to explain what I mean when I say that. So unfortunately, many of us have experienced being betrayed or let down by friends. And quite often that's because friends can bring us many lessons and we can learn a lot from them and grow from them. And unfortunately, I find that to be just as painful as a romantic relationship giving me lessons and tests. And it breaks my heart just as much when I lose a female friend as when I lose a partner or a boyfriend. In fact, if not more, because I so deeply care about women supporting each other that when somebody betrays me or if I let them down, then to me that's just the absolute worst. So how do we heal all of these wounds? As I said before, firstly, it's all to do with compassion, empathy, forgiveness, and acknowledging that we feel that way. Saying to ourselves, okay, I definitely feel as though a lot of women have let me down. What were the lessons that I learned from that? Great, now that I've learned those, what actually did I feel? How did that make me feel? Can I forgive them? Can I work through that? Can I let go of that anger and that pain that I feel from what they've done? And it can take a really long time. Somebody in 2015 deeply betrayed me and it really, really hurt me. And it took me about 18 months to work through the anger and the hurt and the upset, and eventually forgive and release what I was feeling towards that person and wish them well. So of course it's not going to be an overnight process. So it might be good to start writing down a list of people whom you have small disagreements or interactions with that weren't totally loving, and work through those, heal those and release those first, because then you can kind of get into the deeper, more upsetting or more intense losses and betrayals that you've had through friendships. And of course, an element of gratitude and your mindset will then come into play. So once we've worked through this, released it, forgiven, then we can open a space for gratitude to look at the people we do have in our lives, the sisters we do have in our lives who do support us, who do love us and nurture us and encourage us with our work. Even if that's just one person, then that's one person to be grateful for, and then you can move from that space of gratitude and start manifesting relationships that are more positive. I had many experiences in the past of being let down and betrayed by other women, and I found that my mindset was very much, you know, women don't support me, women don't like me, I'm not worthy of friendships. And I had to really work through that. So of course there could be an element of EFT or tapping to change that mindset within you and release that so that you can open yourself to a loving friendship. And as soon as I started to do that, I did notice more and more loving women were coming through. And I've now got a group of fantastic women who I really am very grateful and excited to connect with on a regular basis, because they are just so lovely. So thank you, universe. And of course, the other aspect of it is being your own best friend, loving yourself. So of course that doesn't mean you aren't worthy of a loving friendship or sisterhood if you don't love yourself, but it does mean that if you can love yourself more deeply, you can open a space for other people to love you and connect with you more deeply. And I don't want to use the word accept here, because if you actually look at the definition of accept, it's very much about validation, and nobody should be validating that you are worthy of being alive or not. That's a given that you are definitely worthy of being alive. But of course you would like people to respect you and who you are and how you choose to be in the world. So in my eyes, the ideal way for sisterhood to move forwards is that every single woman on the planet can support, encourage, and unconditionally love and have compassion and empathy for every other woman. I feel as though men have this slightly better because maybe it's because they still have to go to war together. You know, I used to be in a relationship with somebody who was in the RAF, and when he went to Afghanistan, the brotherhood connection that they had was incredibly deep and intense, and of course because they had to care for each other out there, but that was maintained throughout the rest of his friendships. Whereas I feel as though because we've lost that sisterly, all bleeding at the same time, going to sit in a tent and share stories and advice with one another, we suddenly have lost that deep connection, and instead we've been taught to see other women as our competition. If we want that job, if we want that promotion, if we want that relationship, we have to compete with one another. We have to look better, we have to be thinner, we have to be prettier, we have to have the perfect hair and makeup and clothes and the latest fashion and be really rich and successful, but not show off our success so that somebody isn't threatened by us. Oh, it's exhausting. Unfortunately, that has meant that some women have kept themselves small, other women have judged other women have compared themselves to other women, and we have this huge separation between women where we feel we need to compete and be better than, or even well, especially actually with Instagram these days, you know, you look at these fantastic lifestyles people are portraying and you think, wow, okay, they're traveling all the time, they've got the perfect relationship, they look happy all the time, they've got the latest clothes, blah, blah, blah. But that doesn't always portray everything. And also that doesn't mean that you should think less of yourself because they have something that you don't have. Again, it's coming back to that space of gratitude. What do you have? What are you grateful for? What are you happy with in your life? And if there's something you're not happy with, how can you change it? And if you can't change it, how can you make peace with it? So back in 2017, when I was working on my next project, I created and designed the Sacred Sisterhood Commitments. And I was intending to set up a membership for women. And I started it and I haven't actually finished it. So that is something I will probably look into because that's something I feel very passionate about. So it is a 21 affirmation deck, which I painted and drew myself and designed myself, all the commitments that I've put within it, which I feel is something that hopefully all women will resonate with and agree with. And I did design this and have just one set printed off, and I felt as though I'm just not very good at drawing. I am not an illustrator. I tried so hard. This took me like about 50 attempts to get this, and I couldn't even draw hands, so I had to kind of just make it look like they were hugging each other, which I would hope that they would anyway. It's not the best drawing, I'm really aware of that, and I think if I redesigned them or did them again, I would definitely hope to work with somebody who is an illustrator, or my mum, who's a fantastic artist, because just can't do it. But I have 21 commitments which I'm going to read you through, and I will put them up close up on the screen so that you can see them. I just personally think these are really important commitments to make if you're going to commit to sisterhood. I forgive all past judgments or comparisons I made between my sisters and myself. I see the beauty within all of my fellow sisters. I free myself from the limitations of society and choose to bond with all of my sisters. I choose to forge a new present age where sisterhood rules. I honour my sisters' voices and support their messages. The divine feminine is rising within me, and she meets in balanced harmony with the divine masculine. I rejoice in our similarities and learn from our differences. I forgive patriarchy for its role in our perceived disconnection and choose to reconnect with my sisters now. She is me and I am she. As I do unto my sister, I do unto myself. I choose to see past all of the illusions of separation between my sisters and me and acknowledge that we are one. I open my heart to authentic friendships. I choose to recognize all women I meet as my sisters. I am held safe in the presence of my sisters. I am safe in the knowledge that my fellow sisters will guide and support me. I am grateful for the love, support, and joy sisterhood offers. It is safe for me to share and express myself around my sisters. I enjoy the companionship of my sisters. It is safe to cultivate happy, balanced friendships with women. I honour all the women I meet by offering them kindness, support, and respect. I relax and allow sisterhood to heal my heart and soul. I release all fear and resistance towards my fellow sisters. So those are the 21 Sacred Sisterhood commitments that I created. So I hope that you've enjoyed those and resonate with those, and please do watch them back or write them down and connect with them, because I just feel if as women we were united on the same understanding of what sisterhood is, we would be able to embody it a lot more and therefore practice it a lot more, and therefore create a lot more peace and harmony within the female community, and hopefully therefore help balance the divine feminine with the divine masculine. Because I know a lot of people say that the divine feminine is rising and they're nervous that it's going to rise too much and then outweigh the divine masculine and we're going to go too far into the matriarchy. But actually, if anything, it needs to just rise to be equal with, and then we can have a bit more of a balanced society. So it needs to rise and be equal within us and equal within men and women's roles within society. So if you've resonated with this video, if you've enjoyed it, please do let me know in the comments below. And if you feel like you'd like to heal any wounds that you have towards sisterhood, then start with the forgiveness, writing out and releasing the anger and the hurt and the betrayal that you felt, and perhaps burning it as a letter. Especially around, say, the full moon would be fantastic to practice. And then working from a space of forgiveness, recognizing that she is you and you are she, and trying to commit yourself to these sacred sisterhood commitments. That's why I wrote these, because I feel as though they should almost be like a rule book for women to connect with each other as sisters. And then moving from that space of gratitude, perhaps doing some EFT to release any negative mindset that might be holding you back. And if it is trauma to do with a family member, then my advice would be to go and seek some kind of counselling or guidance with that in order to heal that space so that you can move forward with more love and joy towards women in your heart. So thank you so much for watching. I hope that you've enjoyed this, and I hope that together we can promote and create a more loving sisterly connection around the world.